guys. Welcome to Car Politics with Caitlin. Today I am here with these random people that I just found on the side of the road. They look a little bit weird, but oh well.
Hello.
Hello. Would you like to introduce yourselves to YouTube?
No.
Alright. So, I've got a Gov test coming up. Do you guys want to help me study?
Sure. I've been hearing Donald Trump complain a lot about welfare lately. That's about all I know about politics.
Alright. Do you know what means-tested programs are?
Means-tested programs are basically programs that give money to people who fit certain qualifications.
Qualifications, which are basically, if you need money, you get money.
So, for example, aid to families with dependent children is a type of welfare program, and it gives financial aid to children whose families have little to no income.
Temporary assistance for needy families is another type of aid for families with children, where the head of the household of the family is unemployed. This is funded partly by the states and partly by the federal government.
Is Social Security a means-tested program?
Actually, no, it's not. Some have proposed that it should be. They say it should be because some people don't need the Social Security payments.
Like Donald Trump, he doesn't really need it, but he'll still get Social Security whenever he retires. Which I really hope would be sometime soon. Another way to help poorer families is with earned income tax credit, which is like a discount on taxes for low to moderate income families, mainly for families with children.
The amount of benefit depends on the family's income and the number of children.
Well, I was at a stop sign and they all got out, so I have no clue where they are, but that's all I've got for you today, so don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ring that bell. Bye!
Welcome to Student Edition of Drunk History. It is midnight, and this is water.
Welfare. Let me explain it to you. Welfare is helping people to pay for things.
It's where the state
pays. The welfare is provided by the state to the people who don't have the means to pay for the things that they need to pay for. I don't remember anymore.
It is based on the principle of equality of opportunity.
Keyword being opportunity.
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 It is also based on the principles of equality of opportunity, which is equitable distribution of wealth. It's an equitable distribution of wealth. The government, they allow the states to be flexible in making their welfare states for the people.
On the European continent, the provisions of the welfare state were originally enacted by conservatives in the late 19th century, but by the fascists in the 20th in order to distract workers from the unions and socialism, and were opposed by leftists and radicals. Well, that's it. Welfare state is cancelled. Never mind, I need a grade in this class.
Australians, before 1900, they gave charitable assistance to benevolent societies. What am I reading right now? I mean, Australia's pretty cool. They have koalas. They had welfare way before we did.
And gun control.
And gun control. So the non-Australians have 3 classifications. There's the social democratic, there's the Christian democratic, and there's the liberal model.
1. Social democratic welfare state model is based on the principle of universalism. It's granting access to the benefits and services that it can give to citizens because they're citizens. 2. Christian democratic welfare state model is based on the dominance of social insurance schemes and social stratification, which refers to a system by which a society ranks categories of people in a hierarchy. In the United States, it is perfectly clear that some groups have greater status, power, and wealth. In other words, some people are more equal than others. The liberal model, the state only interferes to ameliorate or make something better, which is nice of them, to ameliorate poverty and provide basic needs. This is the model of the US of A uses, supposedly.
Hello, I'm not John Green, and this is not Crash Course, but it's close enough. Today we will be discussing Presidents Johnson, Reagan, Clinton, and welfare. Beginning with the President Johnson, he unofficially went about this thing called the War on Poverty because the poverty level had gotten really high. It was at 19% in 1964. Johnson realized that he had to act, and in his State of the Union address, he declared he was going to fight harder to reduce poverty. This led to the passing of a very important piece of legislation, or the Economic Opportunity Act, which allowed more opportunities and more government funding for opportunities for people at a poverty level to be able to come out of poverty. The government provided grants for education, jobs, and various other opportunities in an attempt to lower the percentage of the nation who were impoverished. Johnson also started Medicaid, which is a program that provided medical and hospital aid for the very poor. Following Johnson, Reagan had a different approach to welfare because he really did not like the idea of a welfare state. When he was governor of California, he refused for a long time to indicate the cost of living payments for welfare recipients until he finally agreed to raise it as long as recipients would also be required to work to continue receiving benefits. He also called this workfare. He opposed welfare because he thought it rewarded lack of work. After Reagan, Clinton went back to Johnson's philosophy of welfare. He implemented a few programs that are still around today, such as the temporary assistance for needy families and aid to families with dependent children. Both programs are funded by categorical block grants, where the states receive a chunk of federal money to put towards welfare systems for families with dependent children within the state. They can spend the money on whatever they deem necessary within the state, granted they follow a set of guidelines. That brings us to the end of the most important history of welfare throughout Johnson's, Reagan's, and Clinton's presidency.
Oh my god, so I just heard about this like super unlit thing and I want to share it with all of you guys because it's just so awful. So it's called feminization of poverty. And like, hold up. So poverty by itself is bad, right? Well, it gets worse. Like, did you know that women are more affected by poverty than men? Like, how is that fair? Women already have all this other stuff to deal with. And so why are they more affected by poverty? Well, for one thing, they get paid less, and there's gender roles, so like men are supposed to be like taking care of their families or whatever. Like, what year is it? 1956? So men are like, poverty? I don't know her. And women are like, I can't buy any avocado toast because I just don't have the means. So if you're like me and you have over 1,000 followers on Instagram and you can buy all the Starbucks you want, remember, you're #blessed.
All 2 of my YouTube subscribers requested that I do a clip about progressive versus proportional taxes. The names of both of them sound really complicated and scary, but actually, they are. Okay, maybe just one of them is a little scary. Beginning with the easier one, proportional tax, or flat tax, is just giving everybody the same tax rate, so everyone pays the exact same percentage no matter how much you make. 'Cause that's fair, right? Now, progressive tax is a bit more complicated. A little bit more than a bit more complicated. With progressive tax, the government separates everyone into these groups, like those class triangles you learn about in European history class and then promptly forget the next year. Each group is separated by income, and each group is cut off at a certain dollar amount. The way the groups work is the exact opposite of AP tests. On AP tests, it sucks when you're a point below the next score, but with progressive taxes, you are trying to be below the group or score above you. Every tier is taxed higher than the last, which is why you don't want to be just above the cutoff. So anyway, that's progressive and proportional taxes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week.
That's pretty lit. So when you're out here in the wild foraging for your food, have to be able to choose carefully, but the first thing you need to know is what food is. Food is something that you eat and it keeps you alive, and that's pretty lit. So, you see this yam right here? You can tell that it is yam because of the way it is.
You know what's lit? Food stamps. Do you know what food stamps are?
No, I don't.
They're coupons that the government gives you if you're poor.
With food stamps, you can buy fresh food and cold food. However, you cannot buy hot food. So you know how you can buy this with food stamps? You know you can buy it with food stamps because it's fresh produce. Oh, hello. So you know how you can buy this with food stamps? You can't, because it's hot. This isn't alcohol. You can't buy this with food stamps. You're not getting lit tonight.
You can buy this bread with food stamps. That's pretty lit.